What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I want to tell you about the weirdest One Piece TCG reveal we've seen yet. And I'm going to be honest with you, right? We're only a few months into the game. The fact that we've already got a super weird reveal genuinely makes me very, very, very happy indeed. Now, I need to give a bunch of shout-outs before we start. Orange Samurai D for making me aware of this. That dude is awesome, incidentally. Hibiki OPCG for the translation, though I did do a little bit of this myself as well. And Cringe, or CRNGE, for the image. Shout out to those dudes for making my job nice and easy. Those dudes rock. And what we've seen is this. Wait, what's this? Well, what it is an image that was taken from a TV show, apparently, about card designs over in Japan. And it shows a dummy card for the One Piece TCG. And it's clearly, and for anyone that doesn't know, this is how cards are initially designed. The art gets done a lot later. And when these card games are play tested, there's no artwork on the cards at that point. They're not using lovely, fully designed cards or anything along those lines. What happens is that they are literally just blank cards with the text written on. That's what people playtest with. While that's going on, artists are commissioned, artwork is drawn, etc, 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 and then it's all jammed together at the end and jobs are good 'un. It's a little bit weird, but I know not everyone's aware of that. I was a little surprised first time I found out, although to be fair, it makes absolutely perfect sense. It'd be weird to do it the other way round. Why would you playtest with perfectly final cards? That just makes no sense. Now, I do need to give you a little bit of a caveat here that is fairly important. This is a dummy card that's shown on a TV show over in Japan. It may or may not be a final card. It may or may not be a card that ends up being a real card. Cards are designed all the time, and they are either changed or they are just scrapped altogether, and that is really, really important to me. One of the coolest examples that I can think of in the recent past is Vice Schwartz do a Star Wars set. It's kind of cool. I bought a couple of boxes. I even did an opening on this channel. And the Vice Schwartz Star Wars set is really interesting because they did a reprint of it, like a proper job reprint. And one of the interesting things they did when they did the reprint is they actually redesigned a couple of cards. They changed some of the stats, etc. on some of the cards, literally between one print and the next. So they reprinted it with change, and I'm not talking about erratas. I'm not talking about, hey, this was misprinted, blah, 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 we're fixing it. I'm talking about, hey, we've had a couple years to think about this, and you know what? We've decided we want to change a couple of the values on some of the cards. So they just did. It's weird, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm actually kind of loving that they did. It also really helps then that they're able to differentiate the newer cards from the older cards, because, you know, there are some differences on there. It keeps the value for older fans. So that was kind of a weird thing, which I very much enjoyed. But we see this all the time. One of my favorite news stories I covered on the Pokemon trading card game on my other channel, PTCG Radio, was about an old card, a Pikachu and Zekrom card, which, I mean, that card was released. Proper card, came out, all of that good stuff. But the artist shared a prototype image of the card, you know, long after release, and the attacks aren't the same. So I'm going to tell you what this card does, and it sounds really strong. Expensive, but really strong. But please bear in mind there is a chance this isn't a real card. And if this is a real card, then there is a chance that by the time we actually see it, it's vastly different, all right? I just want to make that nice and clear before we start. We good? Excellent. So what does the card apparently do? Well, I mean, apparently do. I've checked the translation. This seems absolutely legit. But what we've got here is, it's a 7-cost card. If your leader is Ace, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 8,000 power or less. Your leader gains double attack during this turn and 3,000 power. Now, 7 cost is a lot, let's be perfectly clear. That is a very, very, very expensive card. However, KOing a character with 8,000 power or less is good, because bearing in mind, like, that's most characters. There aren't that many characters that we've seen in the game so far that have like 9,000 or more power. I'm not saying there's none, but I am saying there really aren't very many. I mean, I'm searching over on One Piece cardgame.dev because they're the, good people to look at for this. And there's literally 11. There are 11 characters in the game that you won't be able to take out with this as it stands at the moment. Presumably, we're going to see a couple more in OPO3, but as it stands, it's literally all but 8 characters in the game, which is kind of hilarious. So that alone is pretty good. But also, you gain double attack and 3,000 power. Although I've said this before, I really dislike the phrasing double attack in the One Piece TCG, because double attack it doesn't imply, it literally says 2 attacks. So you're imagining my opponent blocks the first attack, but then the second can get through, when in reality it is 1 attack that does double damage, so I'd far rather it was called something like double hit. Or double damage, which sounds weird, but still. Double attack, I don't like it because it implies you have to block it twice, which you don't. If you block double attack, you block it once, it's over. It's like my least favourite thing about the One Piece TCG. But anyway, I digress. So basically, you get double attack plus 3,000 power. So you end up with a really powerful leader with double attack. That's good. Oh, as a trigger, it KOs up to one of your opponent's characters with 6,000 power or less. Obviously, this is fine. As a trigger, it's fine. It's nowhere near as good because obviously, I told you there's only 11 cards we've seen that you can't KO with the regular skill because that's 8,000 or less. But here you're getting 6,000 or less, which means 7,000 or above are out of range. There are actually quite a few, unfortunately, that fit there. It's not the same, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the same. But still, it's better than not having a trigger. So, one of the things that immediately makes me go here is, well, hang on a second. Do we have an ace leader? Yes, we do. It's coming in OPO3. We have seen it. It has been previously revealed. We have talked about it on this channel. 5,000 power, 5 life. When this leader attacks or is being attacked, you may trash any number of event or stage cards from your hand. For each card you trash, this leader gains 1,000 power during this battle. And actually, if we put this new event card together with this leader ace, it gets really good. Because firstly, I can now play 4 copies of this event. Because basically, number one, it's really powerful, it's expensive, but it's crazy powerful. Like, putting me up to 8,000 power straight off the bat with double attack, yes. Secondly, it's got a pretty good trigger, so if they end up in my life, that's still pretty good. And thirdly, I don't have to use them in the traditional sense. I can trash them to power up Ace as a leader. When we looked at Ace before, I told you I was pretty unconvinced as to how good this was going to be. I told you I wasn't loving it. And that was true, incidentally. This actually makes me rethink it a little bit. I think this event card makes the leader way better because actually now I've got a really good event card which makes this leader better as a whole. But I've still got this random skill, and the random skill works with this event card, and maybe, ladies and gentlemen, maybe this could end up being a thing. I kind of love this, honestly. I kind of love this a lot. This seems like a really, really cool card. It might not be for this ace, but this is another thing that makes me think this is coming in OPO3, because it's kind of worth bearing in mind, this works, as I've just explained, really, really well with the leader ace from OPO3. Like, it's got mad synergy. And it would be kind of weird if it came later. Now, that's not the end of the world, of course. Coming later still means it's going to get here at some point. Still going to be usable with that leader when it comes out. But I just think that there's so much synergy here between this event card and the leader we've got. And then, of course, that leads me to another question, which I think is pretty gosh darn important. Are we going to get more ace event cards? And I think there's a really good chance. Because you've got to bear in mind, Ace as a leader, as I've just told you, it exists to use event cards. That's what the leader does. That's what's good about it. It is there to use event cards and go a little bit nuts. So actually, yeah, it would make absolute perfect sense that we would get a bunch of event cards that would power up Ace. Because one of my issues with the leader is, you've basically got to use a whole bunch of event cards, and that's not generally how we play the game. But what we're doing here is building a deck differently to how we normally do, building it around event cards, and then having Ace take advantage of that. I don't know. I kind of love it. We'll have to see whether it ends up being real or not. Either way, in the annals of weird event card reveals, or weird card reveals in general, this is up there, ladies and gentlemen. This is up there. But I want to know what you think. I want to know how excited you are. I want to know how good you think this is. I want to know how real you think this is. I want to know basically anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi. That's where we talk about card games and One Piece, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.